Welcome back, dear students, and may God bless you all. Today let's recapitulate the previous second part of the story, that how Holmes planned a visit to the manor house before any plans can be made by Holmes and Watson, and how Holmes took an opportunity to undertake an analysis of the room in which Helen's sister died and in which Helen sleeps now, although it does not seem to be any need for repairs. And then also her father asked her to shift in her sister's room. And then Holmes discovered the bell pull also, and Holmes saw a saucer of milk under the bed in Roylott's room, though there was no cat also. And Helen followed Holmes' advice, and how Holmes made the plans about that night to put the lamp as a signal, and how Holmes and Watson entered the grounds with a long cane. And then Holmes noticed about the strange clues in Roylott's room, and till that time everything was a secret. And so now let's see what happens the next. Okay, so I'm going to begin here with the next remaining part of the story. So let's see the further paragraphs. For the next few minutes, we sat in a state of dreadful vigil. I started sweating from the tension. Suddenly a sound became audible, a very gentle, soothing sound, like that of a small jet of steam escaping continually from a kettle. Here, vigil means the act of staying awake and keeping watch, and audible means able to be heard. The moment we heard it, Holmes sprang from the bed, struck a match, and lashed furiously with his cane at the bell pull. And here, sprang means to jump or move quickly, struck means to hit something, and furiously means violently, and lashed means hit something with great force. So here, when they secretly entered the room, they sat in a state of staying awake and keeping watch, and then suddenly they were able to hear some kind of sound, as a small jet of steam escaping continually from a kettle. And the moment as they heard it, then Holmes just jumped quickly from the bed and hit a match to light the candle, and attacks the bell rope violently with its cane. Now the next paragraph. "You see it, Watson," he yelled. "You see it." He had ceased to strike and was gazing up at the ventilator, when suddenly the silence of the night was broken by the most horrible cry I have ever heard. "What can it mean?" I gasped. "It means that it is all over," Holmes answered. "We will now enter Dr. Roylott's room." So now here Holmes shouted and asked Watson whether he see it, and Watson can only watch helplessly, as he has no idea what's going on. And then suddenly the silence of the night was just broken when when they heard the most horrible cry, which was just coming from Dr. Roylott's room. And Watson asked Holmes that what could it mean. Then Holmes answered that now it is all over, and then they rushed to Roylott's room. Now next paragraph. It was an unusual sight which met our eyes. Dr. Roylott sat on a wooden chair. His eyes were fixed in a dreadful, rigid stare at the corner of the ceiling. Bound tightly round his head was a peculiar yellow band with brownish speckles. The speckled band, whispered Holmes. Okay, so here in these lines, dreadful means very bad or unpleasant, and rigid means stiff or unmoving, and peculiar means strange. Now, the further lines. I took a step forward. In an instant, his strange headgear began to move. Instant means a very short time or happening immediately. From among his hair, there arose the squat, diamond-shaped head and puffed neck of a loathsome serpent. Squat means short and wide, and loathsome means extremely unpleasant. It is a swamp adder, cried Holmes, the deadliest snake in India. Dr. Roylott must have died within 10 seconds of being bitten. Violence does, in truth, recoil upon the violent. Let us put this creature back into its den and let the police know what has happened. Recoil means to spring back with force. Okay, so in this paragraph, what we'll see that the unusual sight which met to their eyes was that they found Dr. Roylott dead in his chair, and eyes were just fixed and stiff at the corner of the ceiling, and a speckled band means a very poisonous snake was tightly wrapped around his head. After biting him, and as Holmes took a step forward, then immediately this headband began to move and it hisses at them. And then Holmes warned Watson that the speckled band is swamp adder, means the deadliest poisonous snake in India, and that its venom kills Roylott in 10 seconds. Venom means the poisonous liquid produced by animals like snakes or spiders, usually when they bite. Then Holmes slipped the leash around the snake and said to put this creature back into its den and let the police also know what has happened. Okay, now the next lines for the paragraph. Holmes explained the case to me on our way back. My attention was speedily drawn to the ventilator and to the bell rope which hung down to the bed. The discovery that this was a dummy and that the bed was clamped to the floor made me suspect that the rope was there as a bridge for something passing through the hole and coming to the bed. The idea of a snake then occurred to me. I coupled it with my knowledge that the doctor kept a supply of creatures from India. Then I thought of the whistle. Of course, he must recall the snake before the morning light revealed it to others. He had trained it, probably by the use of the milk which we saw, to return to him when called. He would put it through the ventilator at the hour that he thought best, with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week, but sooner or later she would fall victim. When I heard the creature hiss, I instantly struck the match and attacked it. With the result of driving it back through the ventilator, I added, "Yes," said Holmes, "and also with the result of causing it to turn upon its master on the other side. Some of the blows of my cane came home and roused its snackish temper so that it attacked the first person it saw. In this way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Roylott's death, but I cannot say that it is likely to weigh very heavy on my conscience." Okay, so let's see about this paragraph. That after all happened, Holmes explains Watson about the method which led him to suspect the murder, and weapon was a swamp adder, means that poisonous snake, and all the wicked plan was made by Dr. Roylott, Helen's stepfather. And Holmes also explained to Watson that from the beginning of this investigation, when they got this opportunity to handle it, so from that period when he was observing the room and he saw all the other things, only then at that moment he just suspected about something was going wrong behind it. And but he did not disclose this idea or this suspicion to his partner Watson. But now when everything is just over, so now he is explaining to Watson, and he also just telling him that Holmes revealed the plot hatched by Dr. Roylott, and he had trained the snake to travel to the adjoining room and kill his daughter lying on the bed. So Roylott plotted to remove both daughters before they married, just because he would have lost most of the fortune he controlled, because when the daughters took with them the money left them by their mother, so Roylott planned to kill both his stepdaughters, and he did so just to keep his late wife's entire estate for himself. So here this mysterious locked room story ends. Hope you all understand it. And now time to display the question answers. So please must do it very carefully and correctly. It's okay. Now your homework is learn and write the word meanings and also the question and answers in your notebook. And for your understanding, also just find out the inside chapters difficult word meanings. Okay children? And one more thing, what you have to do, that in reference to the context, the third question and its part C. So this answer you have to write in your own words. Now as you all know about the story, so regarded with Holmes' reaction to the incident, if you are agree, then you also give reason why, and if you are not agree, then give your reason why not. So this one you have to do by yourself. Okay. And now in the next video we will meet with the poem Whose Place Is It Anyway. So till then, keep enjoying and also study well by staying home safely. And again, all the best.